The tyrant, I believe, we found at the third remove from the oligarch, for the democratic came between. Yes. And would he not also dwell with a phantom of pleasure in respect of reality, 3 stages removed from that other, if all that we have said is true? Yeah. And the oligarch in turn is the third remove from the royal man, if we assume the identity of the aristocrat and the king. Yep, third. 3 times 3 then, by numerical measure, is the interval that separates the tyrant from true pleasure. The phantom of the tyrant's pleasure is then, by longitudinal measurement, a plane figure. Quite so. Then by squaring and cubing it, it is clear what the interval of this separation becomes. Right? It's by squaring and cubing that the interval between the two establishes their distance, one from the other. And therefore it's said then that the king, the true king, philosopher king, then experiences 729 times more fully and completely pleasure than the tyrant. And conversely, of course, 729 is worse. The one part that he has, you see, is that the 3 parts of the soul, this is the gain-loving. All right. What he calls the goal, coursing after goals, right? And sometimes this is called desire, the spirited element, and the rational. He said the real goal for man is not to be at war against himself, but to bring to whatever you're doing, if you're pursuing pleasure, is that you want the rational part of the soul to bring with it the other two into a unity. And therefore the soul has to judge on its highest level whether what it's doing in its pursuit of pleasure is rational, consistent with whatever it is that is bringing the person together. Right? In that case, then, the spirited element and the desire element can form into a unity, and under that condition, the person is experiencing most fully all parts of the soul simultaneously in one pleasure. That's a kingly pleasure. He says, now, he wants to now, he's going to measure this. This is the way he measures it. He said, if we want to judge this, then, he says, would you not agree everyone has this open to them, the desiring part, seeking gain in a variety of ways. Right? So all. But some people go on to pursue in a spirited way their goals. Success, things like that. Right? So some. And some are after the goals such as we've established, few. He says, but however, those few have experienced all 3. But the lowest level has only experienced itself and can't participate in the second or the third, or doesn't. The second, of course, can experience both and therefore can judge both, since one judges out of one's experience when one makes rational statements about one's experience. Therefore, there's only one person here who has full experience of all 3 and can judge, therefore, the relationship between each and the relative strength of each of the pleasures experienced by the soul of man. So that's measuring, making distinctions. Now he takes the same structure and he's going to push it on another level. Right? 1, 2, 3. See? 1, 2, 3. he's going to say that there is someone who designs, there's designs and uses, there's someone who makes what is used, and there is someone who can copy an image of what is used. So he uses the example, he uses several examples. One is the example of a bit fit for a horse. He said the craftsman who makes it is under obligation to follow the design of someone who uses it, who can improve on its use. And therefore, the maker of the craftsman must follow the suggestions and the advice of the person who uses it, because they can point out what needs to be strengthened or weakened, and therefore that person therefore must order the craftsman. However, there can be a person who then may paint a copy of what it is the craftsman does, and he creates an image of what is used. But it's not true. He creates an image of the appearance of what is used. Right. If I'm a painter and I'm painting that chair, I'm not going to make a copy of an image of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of an image of the way it appears to me from this particular viewpoint. And you can look at that from a variety of viewpoints and get different appearances of that same object if the object doesn't change for all of the appearances that it has. All right, now, therefore we have another hierarchy, don't we? 1, 2, 3. Now he's going to say that the tyrant is really someone who is an imitator. He really imitates a ruler, but he really isn't. He's really a thug who holds an office, and he's really a robber who holds office, and he really doesn't even deserve the title of tyrant, because that suggests a relationship to a legitimate state. He said, therefore, he's really just someone who's copying and imitating what a ruler might do and be, but he's not even that. He's only given an image of an appearance of a ruler. If that's true then, all right, well, where did he get that appearance? He must have gotten that appearance. Well, someone must have been around so that he could imitate him. But wait a minute. That imitation, does the person who makes and appears the way in which a ruler appears, does he really know what a ruler is? No, he says, okay, next up. He says, look here. This is also the level of imitation. Now, the tyrant is an imitation, and so were all the poets. And anyone who wants to convince you of anything. They have to imitate someone as if they know, and appear as if they know if they're going to try to persuade you about the truth of something. When they don't know it, they have to give the appearance, don't they? Therefore, he says, you know what's interesting, therefore, is that imitation lies at the heart of all tyrants. And anyone who teaches anyone to imitate another is setting up the conditions for a people to appear and to convince others. But then he says, look here, let's look at the two types of people that can be imitated. He said, first of all, he said, if you want someone to imitate someone, it's best to pick someone who's unstable.